What's up guys, in this video I'm going to be discussing the Akai MPK Mini and the Ableton Push 2. I'll go over some pros and cons of each device and hopefully we'll figure out which one is better for you. So stay tuned. First I'm going to talk about the Akai MPK Mini. So this is a pretty basic MIDI controller. It's a staple in the industry when it comes to 25 key MIDI controllers. Great for playing in your instruments, playing in your drums on the pads, and just making your DAW feel a little bit more like an instrument. So it's got 25 keys which resemble a standard keyboard. It has 8 pads with 2 sound banks, so you can put 16 sounds into drum pads. 8 assignable knobs which you can assign from your DAW to control whatever you want within your DAW. And a couple of cool extra features like an arpeggiator, a whammy wheel to control vibrato or pitch. You can plug in a sustain pedal if you're into that thing. Very solid build. You can't really go wrong with the Akai on quality. So a few main advantages of this device. Of course, first thing is portability and size. This device is really small. I'd say around 30 centimeters long and about 20 centimeters wide. It fits into any bag. I take it anywhere when I'm leaving for more than one night. I fit this into any bag that I take with my laptop and I'm good to go. It doesn't require a power cord, which is perfect because if your laptop is charged, you can take your laptop and the MPK with you anywhere and make beats wherever you want. Another great advantage, and it kind of seems obvious but you'll notice later that it's not, is the keyboard keys. Of course, most MIDI keyboard controllers have keyboard keys, but a lot of controllers just have pads, for example. This is great if you come from a piano or keyboard background. I personally don't, but it's excellent for figuring out harmonies, melodies, learning music theory, playing your skills, knowing your chords, etc. The keys also have a good weight to them, which again is great if you come from a piano background. I also love the pads on the Akai MPK. Of course, Akai is known for pad-based MIDI controllers. These are nice and big, they feel really robust. And of course, the final main advantage of this device is the cost. This is my second MPK Mini. I had a really old one that eventually the USB gave up on me, so I had to buy a new one. I got both of them for around 30 to 40 euros secondhand. So really cheap device, accessible to most people. So some drawbacks. Although it comes with a couple of great features, it's got very limited functionality. And that makes sense considering that it's built to play in melodies and drums. It's not built to control your DAW. The DAW controlling feasibility can get a bit complex and a bit hard to understand. I often just flick something by accident and don't know what I just changed, and then I have to undo until I can get the sound I had before. You definitely need to have your computer on, open, and your screen on, your monitor on to make a beat using the Akai MPK Mini. So that can be a drawback because the production side of things, you're still needing to use your keyboard and mouse. It still feels like you're using a computer, which to me personally is a bit of a drawback. Although the keys have a good weight and they're definitely robust built keys, they are really small. So if you have quite fat fingers like I do, it's quite easy to hit the wrong note. When you're playing chords, it's very easy to hit notes in between. So yeah, that might be something to consider. So let's move on to the Ableton Push 2. I'm going to start by saying that this is definitely my favorite device out of my setup. It's right in the center of my desk and my whole setup is based pretty much on the Ableton Push 2. It's Ableton's dedicated controller for the software, pretty much meaning that you can control almost all of Ableton, or at least all of the basic Ableton functions, straight from this MIDI controller. It's got a lot of various buttons that can control lots of different things. 64 pads which dub either as sample pads, either as session view, your MIDI clips, and 8 solid knobs which change depending on what you're trying to control. A knob dedicated to your tempo, your BPM, one dedicated to your swing amount, and one dedicated to your master volume, which is nice. The display is beautiful, really high quality display. The build is absolutely solid. Although it looks really slim for such a wide device, it looks really flimsy, but this thing is heavy. I mean, if you've never held one, it's heavy, hard to bend, really solid, and just feels very durable. So I'll go straight to some advantages. The main one is that it's complete for beat making. I can turn off my monitor, and I often do, and just use the Ableton Push 2. And it's nice that when you want to just make some music, I can just not look at a screen except for the little display here, and just immerse myself in the music without having to use my eyes so much. As I said, you can control all of Ableton's basic functions. So you can control the session view, you can switch between instruments, you can choose plugins, you can add devices, audio effects, you can control all of those plugins and those audio effects, and you can play in your melodies, your drums using the pads. You can access 16 levels, Akai MPC based 16 level stuff. Another great advantage is, of course, it's got lots of pads. It's not that common to see 64 pads on a MIDI device. You can really have 64 samples accessible to you at any time, which is great. Alternatively, you can split it into 4 groups of 16 pads and have, for example, 16 samples, 16 levels, bottom right, and then with the rest, control your session arrangement or your MIDI clips. The main advantage to me, and actually the reason I bought this device though, is because it limits Ableton. Now that may sound like a disadvantage, but when I started beat making and producing, Ableton was just overwhelming. Everything is so quickly accessible to you, and that's amazing. However, coming from an instrument playing background, it started to feel a bit computerized to me. It was a process that I wasn't enjoying as much as playing my instrument. This helped dim that down. Perfect for when you want your process to be a bit slower, a bit more musical, but you still want the DAW workflow. For example, before the Ableton Push 2, when I was choosing my drum samples, I went over to the folder with my mouse, clicked through all the drum samples really quickly until I found the one I wanted, and I just inserted it. With the Push 2, things feel a lot more slower and a lot more dedicated. When I'm choosing drum samples, it takes a while to get to the folder that you want. I slowly flick through each one, listen really closely because I don't have a screen, so I'm not using my eyes, so I feel like my ears are much more tuned in. And it really feels like I'm more connected to the process. So some disadvantages of the Push 2. Of course, 64 pads on a device like this means that the pads are pretty small. And I have to admit, I didn't think this would be a problem, but it gets a bit annoying when you're playing in drum samples and you hit the wrong pads. Another disadvantage is the cost. While the Akai MPK is maybe around €100 new, 50 second hand, this thing is probably around 550, 600 euros new. I got it for 450 second hand. Every single penny was worth it, but again, it's an expensive device. I think the biggest disadvantage is the fact that it needs a power cord. So between power cord and USB to your computer, that's 2 cables. That's 2 extra cables lying around on your desk that you have to sort out. On top of that, it makes it completely not portable. This thing has never left my desk. I mean, sometimes I really wish it was standalone because being a beat making package, I could just lift it off my desk, go to a different room or go outside and just keep making beats, kind of like the MPC Live. Bear in mind that with the Push 2, you're tied to your desk. So guys, overall, both these devices are great. I mean, I love them both. I use them both for different things, and they're always both on my desk, always accessible to me. If you're looking for something just to play your melodies and your drums in, something small and portable that you can take around with you wherever you go, on the train, on the plane, to the park, I would definitely recommend the Akai MPK Mini. If you're looking for something more solid, something you can rely on when you're in your studio, something that you can control your DAW with, for sure the Ableton Push 2. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share. This stuff goes a really long way in my journey. It helps me out a lot, and I appreciate every single comment, every single like, every single subscribe. Don't forget to check out my music on Spotify. I'll leave the link down below. And have a great day, guys. Keep making music. See you later.